again, Fernando Sherbo, and today I will give you I will be giving you information about the physical, cognitive, and social emotional development of the high school learners during their adolescence. Students who gain admission into high school may be unaware of the dangers and stresses involved in their personal transition during the age of adolescence. Adolescence is a period of transition in terms of physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional changes. So let's start from physical developments of the high school learners. Puberty changes. In all cultures, biological change comprises the major transition from children to early adolescence. This is manifested by change in physical appearance, a more rapid rate of development known as growth spurt. The phenomenon commonly results in a feeling of awkwardness and unfamiliarity with bodily changes. In addition, alterations in sleeping habits and parent-adolescent relationships may be experienced accompanying puberty changes. The growth spurts. In girls, the growth spurt generally begins at the age of 10, reaching its peak at the age of 11 and a half, and decreasing at the age of 13, while slow continual growth occurs for several more years. Boys begin their growth spurt later than girls at around age 12, reaching a peak at 14 and declining at the age of 15 and a half. At this age 16 and 1/4, girls reach 98% of their adult height, while boys do so at age 17 and 1/4. Growth in height is conditioned by stages in bone maturation. Sexual maturity. Secondary male sex characterized are stimulated by testosterone, comprised by the growth of the testes and scrotum, penis and first pubic hair, the capacity for ejaculation, the growth spurt, voice change, facial hair development or the beard growth, the continuing growth of pubic hair. In girls, estrogen secretion triggers the beginning of breast enlargement, the appearance of pubic hair, the widening of the hips, a growth spurt, and menarche. Menarche is the first menstruation. The elevation of the female breast is the first external sign of puberty in girls, while the growth of the uterus and vagina accompanies continued enlargement of the breast. Generally, 5% of the girls achieve menarche beginning at the age of 11 to 11.5 years, 25% up to 12 and 12.5 years, and 60% at the age of 13. In contrast with menarche, spermache signals the first sign of puberty and sexual maturity in boys. At about age 12 to 13 or 13, boys experience the enlargement of the testes and the manufacture of sperms in the scrotum. Most likely experience their first ejaculation of semen, of sticky fluid produced by the prostate gland. Nocturnal emissions or wet dreams occurs during sleep, often caused by the sexual dreams. Masturbation or manipulation of physical sexual organs is caused by consciously fantasizing, both among boys and girls. It is important to note that science and religion differ in their regard to masturbation. Modern medical science sees it as an inevitable transition phenomenon among adolescents. On the other hand, religion sees it as sinful. regards it as gravely sinful, ascribing sin even to sexual fantasies. Habitual masturbation is an aberration when it can inhibit the growing adolescents from confidence in heterosexual relationships. Adolescent sleeping habits. Studies show that teenagers are not getting enough sleep and would want more sleep. Actually, lack of sleep is likely caused by changes in adolescents' behavior patterns. Then teens often stay up late because they enjoy it, especially with the advent of internet music, listening, video watching, message communication, chatting, and blogging. Shorter sleep time also contributes to increased levels of depression, daytime sleepiness, and problems with sleeping. Exploration. Instinctively, adolescents become aware of changes in sexuality, thus undergoing a period of exploration and adjustment. Learners from sectarian schools are more likely to consider sexual openness to be dangerous, if not sinful. The drug culture, especially in urbanized communities, presents a serious danger to students who are undergoing the exploratory phase of adolescence development. Pluses and minuses in early or late maturation. Among girls, physical changes are more dramatic, but perceptions of not being well developed as compared with their peers can be a cause for timidity or shyness, if not frustration. In the case of late maturity for boys, this lack in growth in body fluid, strength, motor performance, and coordination may inhibit their performance in curricular and extracurricular activities such as in sports. Being physically weaker, shorter, and slimmer would make them less apt to be outstanding in leadership activities and in sports. Early maturing teens undergo a more intensive growth spurt than maturing teens. The ideal masculine and feminine physiques. Most adolescents desire an ideal body, which is same as being physically attractive or handsome in face and in body. Adolescents and nutrition. It is recognized fact that teens are the poorest eaters among age groups, as they often skip meals, frequently take snack foods at fast food eateries. The ideal body. It's important that adolescents feel confident about their body image. The physical features of the human body depend on genetic heritage, which must generally be respected. Moving on to the cognitive development of the high school learners. So we will move on to the cognitive development. Accompanying brain changes in cognitive capability, the adolescent begins to acquire spatial awareness and formulate abstract or general ideas involving numbers, order, and cause-effect. Piaget's formal operational thinker. Piaget formulated the theory of formal operational thinking, which demonstrates how the cognitive capacity of the adolescent allows him or her go beyond the sensible and concrete to dwell on what is abstract, hypothetical, multidimensional, and possible. It is consists of propositional thinking, making assertions outside visual evidence and stating what may be possible in things not seen by the eyes. And second, relativistic thinking, subjectively making an opinion on facts involving one's own bias, prejudice, of distortion of facts, which may be either right or wrong. And lastly, real versus possible, examining a situation, exploring the possible in terms of situations or solutions. Piaget, one indication of the presence of formal Operational thinking is the ability of the adolescent thinker for combinational analysis, which is his taking stock of the effects of several variables in a situation, testing one variable at a time and not randomly. A new thought capacity known as hypothetical deductive reasoning emerges in the adolescent's reasoning from general facts or situations to a particular conclusion. Scientific evidence shows that while adolescents may obtain the capacity for formal operational thinking, only experience and education will allow them to actually practice it. The problem-finding thinker is one who is able to rethink and reorganize ideas and ask important questions, even defining totally new problems not previously seen. Metacognition. This involves the ability to think above thinking, evidenced by awareness of and to identify one's own thinking process or strategies, perception, comprehension, memory, and problem solving. Another important information processing trend is the adolescent's ability to acquire an increased amount of knowledge and skills along many areas of domains. Overachievers. In many societies, students who get IQ scores that place them in the top 3 and 5% on the bell curve are considered gifted. The later type of learners are labeled overachievers. Characteristics of overachievers are positive self-value or self-esteem, confidence, or optimism. Second, openness to authority, responsive to expectations of parents and teachers. Third, positive interpersonal relations, responsive and sensitive for feelings of others. Fourth, least conflict on the issue of self-autonomy, feels freedom to make right choices, initiates and leads activity. Fifth, academic orientation, disciplined work habits, high motivation to discover and learn, interest in study values, and varied fields of study. Sixth, goal-oriented, efficiency and energy in organizing planning, setting target, prioritizing long-term goals over short-term. And lastly, control over anxiety, well-composed and relaxed in performing organized tasks. Underachievers, individuals whose performance are below the measured IQ levels as underachievers. So two types of underachievers are: first, withdrawal underachievers. These are described as having a more pronounced tendency to be passive, while second, the aggressive unachievers tend to be talkative, if not disruptive, and rebellious. Parental involvement. The influence of the parents appears to be the dominant influence of the adolescent's achievement level, more than peer group influence. Generally, parents of high achievers demonstrate, first, positive attitudes about learning, school, teachers, and integral activities. Second, harmonious and supportive relationship, inclusive of open, free, and enjoyable interaction within the family. Third, their own capabilities for success, conflict management, independent choice with which children can identify. Fourth, encouragement and support for their children's achievement without under pressure. So fifth, achieve involvement in the school program and its parent-teacher community activities. Meanwhile, parents of unachievers show little or none of the above traits, while possibly showing, first, indifference and disinterested in academic and extracurricular activities of their children. Second, authoritarian, restrictive, and rejecting attitudes. Third, excessive indulgence, solicitousness, and protectiveness, thus strengthening their children's self-initiative. Possible adolescents' behavior during cognitive growth. First is the egocentrism. This is the tendency among adolescents to think too much of themselves, such as to be too sensitive to social acceptance of their appearance, actions, feelings, ideas, or etc. Second, idealism. The adolescence opens thought on the possible, an avenue to possibly imagine what is far-fetched and less ideal to situations at home, in school, and in society. Imagining the world of the impossible, the adolescent may become discouraged as social realities fall short of the ideal. Now, let's move on to the socio-emotional development of high school learners. During adolescence, the teens shows manifestation of growth as he or she begins to have friends in school, attend parties, goes to discos, and keeps intimate friends with the same or within the opposite sex. Self-understanding. In early adolescence, ages 10 to 13 years old, the teen begins to acquire reflective ideas of one's self, not only in terms of the intermediate present which younger children also see, but in terms of their past and their future. Di- dra- During adolescent years, the teen also begins to see his or herself role and importance to society. This development requires self-thought or introspective thinking along generalized ideas, such as the thinking that one is bright, intelligent, or etc. Developing self-esteem. Boys develop a masculine trait in self-esteem since there is more distancing between mother and son compared with the closer emotional connection between mother and daughter. The high involvement and intrusion by mothers in the lives of their daughter are observed to cause delay in the development of self-individuation among girls. Friendship and intimacy. Adolescents tend to spend more time with their friends, up to 16% of their time, studies show, comprising an emotional investment they can benefit from. As to the sexes, girls are viewed to be more capable than boys in forming intimate friendships, benefiting more from social support they can get from close friends. Identity issues. Identifying with the crowd. The adolescents may reach the stage of distinguishing self from the crowd in a process of exploration. The teenager may also try out a variety of attitudes, persuasions, commitments, and involvements revolving around the inner search for who I really am, what do I want for life, and how can I achieve my ideas. Moral development. Lawrence Colbert laid down stages of formal or of moral reasoning among adolescents. First, conventional level. At this stage, the adolescent is able to understand and conform to social conventions, consider the motives of peers and adults, engage in proper behavior to please others, and follow the rules of society. The focus of thinking of things is towards mutual expectations, relationships, and conformity with others. And second, post-conventional level. At this stage, the adolescent wishes to conform to, first, law and order. Don't steal because it is against the law. The law. The social contract. Rights such as life and liberty must be upheld to uphold the welfare of the majority in society. And C. Universal ethical principles. The universal principles of justice, equality of human rights, freedom of consciousness. Freedom of conscience, or etc. So, that ends my presentation about the adolescence, the development of adolescence. God bless and keep safe, everyone. Again, this is Fernando Shervo, one of the students of Base Ed Mathematics. Thank you for watching.